In this video, I'm going to talk about the things that you should never, and I mean never ever do at Disneyland Paris. So, you have just booked your trip to Disneyland Paris and you're so excited about all of the things that you're going to be getting up to whilst you're there. But this is when so many easy mistakes slip through the cracks. Maybe you forget to pack something crucial, or you haven't done any research about your trip, or know that you need to make those advanced restaurant reservations, or just forget that no Disney trip is 100% perfect, no matter how much you want it to be. But that's why you're here, as you want to nip any potential mistakes in the bud before you make them. And you know what? Good for you. I'm going to help you do just that. Never ever leave the park when everyone else is. At the end of the day, crowds at Disneyland Paris are straight out of your nightmares. Many guests stay in the parks until the end of the day, meaning that the crowds for the shuttle buses, as well as the big stream of people just trying to get out of the park, is intense. So many guests stay to watch Disney Dreams, and whilst it is such an amazing firework and projection and light show, as soon as that last firework goes off, everyone turns to leave the park at the same time. And with the amount of people doing this at the same time, it can feel overwhelming, as everyone wants to get back to their hotel to get some much needed rest. They've got tired and cranky kids, they've eaten too much sugar, their feet hurt, and so on. Even if you have driven to the parks, you are still going to get swept along in this tidal wave of people leaving the park. If you don't want to deal with these crowds, you can always opt to watch Disney Dreams from further back down Main Street. So even though you won't be at the front in the central hub and have a clearer view of the projections onto Sleeping Beauty's castle, you will still see all of the fireworks and still experience all of the magical atmosphere. But once it's over and everyone turns to leave, you will be at the front of that mass exodus and be able to make a quicker exit. Another option is to head into one of the shops along Main Street, as they do remain open for a short while after the fireworks have finished. Just be aware, you won't completely dodge the crowd, as these shops will still be crowded with people trying to grab those last minute souvenirs, or doing the same thing that you're doing. But by the time you leave the shops, the crowds along Main Street will be a lot lighter. There is also the option to just head to the back of the park, grab some space, sit on a bench, give your feet some much needed rest, people watch, and just let the crowds die down. Don't be in such a rush to leave if you don't have to. Let the crowds die down and then make your move. Another thing to never do is to make a classic mistake of not checking for any ride or show closures. It can put such a downer on your trip if you've waited for a while to go and you have done so much planning and saved a lot of money, and then when you arrive, you find out that your favourite ride is closed for your entire trip for its annual maintenance, or a show is closed for its seasonal break. This goes for any early park closures as well. Always check ahead on the Disneyland Paris website way ahead of your trip for any early park closures. Disney will always keep their website as up to date as possible, but they don't always know if these things are going to happen. So just keep checking. These closures aren't Disney trying to ruin your trip. This is Disney trying to improve or maintain things for you to make sure you have the best experience possible. It's always worth checking in on different social media sites, but I will always do my best to keep you up to date as well. Never buy those bulky souvenirs as soon as you enter the parks. As tempting as it can be, and we have all been there, I had seen a piece of merch that I'd wanted for a while, and it was on the large side, and it was my Munchlings Baymax S'mores. When in the shop, I blacked out, swiped my card, and the next thing you know, I'm carrying around a rather large bag that I have to keep with me for the rest of the day. Don't do it, unless it's one of those limited time items that will fly off the shelf as soon as they land. We all remember those soap dispensers that came out for Disneyland Paris's 30th anniversary. They flew out like hotcakes. Normally, you should be pretty safe to leave that piece of merch that you want until the end of your day, or if you plan to take a midday break, to go and buy that item. If you do go ahead and buy that piece of merch anyway, just know that you are going to have to take it on all of the rides, as Disneyland Paris won't allow you to leave anything on the side of a ride. and they don't have any lockers for each ride to secure your things away whilst on the ride. It can get a little awkward when you're trying to stuff a large item from underneath your seat on Star Tours, or when leaving the ride trying to remove it, and you have the next people who are due to ride that ride standing right behind you as they're waiting to ride themselves. The same goes for any white knuckle rides too. Want to go on Avengers Flight Force or Star Wars Hyperspace Mountain? Then be prepared to hold onto that bag down by your feet on the floor of the ride. And just remember, that merch is going to ride that ride with you. Plus, leaving it until the end of the day gives you enough time to think about that purchase and if you really want it. Also, don't forget about the Disney store online. You could always just buy it when you get home instead. Don't be the person who gets in line to meet a character too late. I know your day is going to be filled with so many fun things to do, from all of the rides, the shows, the parades, food, snacks, and more food. But if there is a particular character that you want to meet and you hop in line too late, you may not be able to actually meet them, as cast members will block off the line if the line is getting too long. This also goes for characters who meet inside and outside of buildings. And just be aware, characters stop meeting guests hours before the park closes at around 5 o'clock-ish. So don't leave it too late. So if there is a character that you would particularly like to meet, maybe prioritise doing this earlier on in your day, or as close to the start time of that meet and greet as you can. I have seen the Princess Pavilion and the queue to meet Stitch reach up to 4 hours. So it's definitely something to think about when planning your trip. Also, keep a lookout on the official Disneyland Paris app, as they will update when and where you can meet characters in the parks. Okay, so this next point could sound a little controversial, especially as it makes up one of my top tips. And it's to do with making those advanced restaurant reservations. And it's to not make 3 table service reservations per day. You really can have too much of a good thing. Imagine you have breakfast at your hotel, or book a character breakfast. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet, and you just know you will be going up more than once for those delicious Mickey waffles and all of the other amazing breakfast items they have on offer. That's going to take up roughly about an hour from your day, especially if it's a character breakfast. Then, a short few hours later, you have a restaurant reservation booked at Bistro Chez Remy, and you have to rush across the parks to make it over to the Walt Disney Studios park. But you're still full from breakfast and starting to feel like you're missing out, as you may have only been able to hit up a couple of attractions. And then Bistro Chez Remy demands that you eat more food. Now you've had your second meal of the day after another hour of sitting down and eating, making you feel stuffed to the brim. And you're definitely not ready to get back on the rides and would much rather take a nap. And definitely don't want to try some of those cute Disneyland Paris snacks, as you're already too full to think about those incredible macarons. Then, by the time your third meal rolls down and you have a dinner reservation at Pim Kitchen, the kids may be fed up with keep having to put things on hold to go and eat more food that they're really not hungry for. And if you are using a meal plan or paying as you go, those prices or meal plan can seem like a little bit of a waste of money, as you're not going to get your money's worth from an all-you-can-eat buffet, as you're already still full from your previous 2 meals. So what could have been a really fun Disneyland Paris day has turned into a day where you're all really grouchy and sluggish. You've missed out on a lot of rides and parades. You're so full you are miserable, and you've had to spend a fair bit for each meal, whether it's prepaid for or not. Booking 1 or 2 table service restaurants a day is fine. Don't turn your nose up at the park's quick service restaurants, as they're a lot cheaper and you won't be eating as much food. Like I've said before, no Disneyland Paris trip is going to be 100% flawless. But that doesn't mean you can't make it great by being proactive and avoiding some simple missteps both before and during your trip. If you did find this video useful, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up, and please consider subscribing, and I'll see you again soon.